Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Faz Kareem and I'm with Learnit and I'm here to teach you about Microsoft Word. In this session we'll be covering Microsoft Word Introduction, and we actually have 2 modules with 8 different lessons in store for us today. I know, exciting stuff. So with that being said, in Module 1, these first 4 lessons, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about getting started with Word. How we can save documents, customize the interface a little bit, and understand certain areas like the start screen, the ribbon, the backstage view. Once we get a little familiar with the environment, I want to dive into Lesson 2 and actually talk about formatting characters, controlling paragraph layout, aligning text using your rulers and tab stops, as well as being able to apply borders and shading. And once we get a little familiar with formatting, moving around in a document, I want to talk about how we can make formatting a little bit more efficient by using tools like the Format Painter and using tools like styles. In Lesson 4, we're actually going to learn about creating lists and sorting them in Microsoft Word. Yes, you can alphabetically sort a list in Word. Once we finish off with Module 1, we're going to dive right into Module 2. And since we just talked about lists, how about we talk about tables? I want to talk about how you can insert a table, modify tables, and even convert text to a table. Now, once we get finished talking about lists and tables in Lesson 6 here, we're going to start talking about inserting graphic objects, inserting images, using certain particular tools to format that image, and inserting symbols and even special characters. Now in Lesson 7 here, controlling page appearance, I want to spend some time talking about adding page borders and colors and headers and footers and controlling the overall layout of a page. And finally, last but not least, for Word Introduction here, Lesson 8, we have preparing to publish a document. Talk about the review tab that we have, and how we can export the document as a PDF if need be, or even transform it to a Sway web page if you are an Office 365 user. I know that is very cool to see. If you haven't seen it before, transforming Word documents to Sway web pages with the click of a button blows my mind. So I'm excited to show that today. But that would actually go ahead and conclude the course, those 8 lessons there that we have to cover. Again, this course is provided by Learnit. My name is Faz, F-A-Z. I'm excited to teach you all today. I do highly recommend, though, that with this training that you're taking today, that you occasionally pause my videos and you actually try the things that I'm actually demonstrating and discussing in these videos, because that's when the magic, that's when the learning actually happens. I hope you enjoy. I hope this material is easy to follow along, and it hopefully will be useful for your job role or for your project or for your schoolwork that you need to get done. I'm excited. Hopefully I got you excited. Let's begin. So I went ahead and launched Microsoft Word. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say I started Microsoft Word. And I just want to point out for anyone that hasn't used Word in a while, that this screen that you're looking at actually has a name, and it's called the Start screen. It was actually put there in 2013, and it actually is a great landing page to get started in Word. Let me describe what I mean. The very first thing that I like to use this Start screen for, on the Home option here, is the ability to actually access my Microsoft Word templates. I have certain templates that I've created, or I have built-in templates that I've created that I can go ahead and access directly from the Start screen. Besides that, I can also access my recently used Word documents. Now, something that's very convenient about the Start screen is that you can also access your shared with me Word documents. People have been emailing you things, sharing things with you. Good chance if it's a Word document, you'll actually find it here and you'll see who it was shared by. Super convenient for my people that are sending messages via Outlook or OneDrive and they want to quickly find those shared files that they have with other colleagues. So, the start screen, although it is a small, quick little thing that a lot of people like to just quickly skip upon, it has some uses. It has your templates. It has your recent files. And it has your shared files. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to use one of these templates. I want to use the blank document template so that I can create a Word document, and before I do that, describe the layout of Microsoft Word. Now, a blank document is also a template. It just has the traditional Office theme and formatting. Let me go ahead and open up a blank document for myself. We'll talk about the ruler in a second. So I went ahead and opened up Microsoft Word here. And the very first thing that I like to talk about in a Word introduction class is saving documents. Now I just want to point out, if you actually need to go ahead and save a document in Word, the very first save that you do is known as a save as. Now, a save as simply gives the file a name, and it also gives it a location. These two items are actually known as metadata. Now, after you create a file and save it with a name and a location, every other save after that is known as just a standard save. And all that does is simply update the contents of the file. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this very nifty keyboard shortcut, F12, to open up the Save As box so that I can save this document for myself. Now, if I'm on a laptop, I might have to hold the F and N key to trigger the F12 shortcut. But it ultimately opens up the Save As box if this is your first save here. And then you can go ahead and call this, I'm going to call it Word Intro. And I'm just going to save it into the folder that I would like to save this item in, or this document in. Lovely, 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 lovely. So, a very important battle in Word, if you want to get started, is saving documents. A quick little shortcut that we just learned about was actually using F12 to quickly save documents within the Word document. So that way we have access to them for later use. And now every time we go ahead and hit the Save button up top, it will automatically update the contents of the file. Or, if you're like me, and you save your files to Microsoft OneDrive, autosave gets turned on automatically. So I don't have to worry about saving too much after this, because my autosave kicks in once I save things to OneDrive. I do want you to pause this video and give this a try. Maybe opening up a Word document, taking a look at your start screen, accessing a blank document from there, and just quickly saving it, calling it the Word intro file using the F12 keyboard shortcut. And when we come back, we're going to discuss the Word interface and how we can manage our workspace a little bit by adding certain tools to more convenient areas for easier access. Yep. Now that we've seen how to save a Word document, I want to go a little further and discuss the Word interface. Because since 2007, everybody, they've had the same exact name for the top of the screen. It's called the ribbon. Now, I just want to point out that this ribbon interface has this pretty convenient area. Now, the ribbon has all of your tools. They're known as commands. So inside the ribbon, you have something known as a tab. That's the home tab we're looking at. And then inside of each one of these tabs, you have several what they call command groups. These command groups hold all the tools. They call them commands. Now, something that's very convenient for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and even Outlook is the fact that the very top, on the left-hand side of your ribbon, you have something known as the Quick Access Toolbar. And the Quick Access Toolbar is an area where you can get tools from the ribbon, and you can add it to that area of the ribbon to have access to it at all times, regardless of what tab you're actually on. So tools that I use commonly, like increase and decrease font size, I add them right up there. If I have to strike through things quite a bit through the day, I'll add that up there. So, to summarize, your Office products have the ribbon interface. And a big thing that you want to do to get started in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, well, is to customize the Quick Access Toolbar with commands. Now, it's actually quite simple to customize a Quick Access Toolbar. I'm simply going to go ahead and go up to any one of these items, or commands we should call them, and right-click them. And the very first item in that list is to add that command to the Quick Access Toolbar. It's going to be a little lonely, don't you think, if we leave it without the decrease. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to add it to the Quick Access Toolbar. And if I needed to use strike through, I'm going to right-click and add that to the Quick Access Toolbar. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you ever need to remove this and manage your workspace a little better, you can also right-click and remove things from the Quick Access Toolbar as well. So, go ahead and practice this. Pause the video. See if you can add certain tools that you use more than others to your Quick Access Toolbar. But before you go and do that, my one little tip to you, or more of a additional feature that you might want to consider, is that some people like having their Quick Access Toolbar below the ribbon instead of on the top, to where it slightly moves the location of the Quick Access Toolbar a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and move that back above the ribbon where I prefer to have it. All right. What I'd like to do next here is I'd like to customize the Word environment a little bit. And let me first remind everybody that when I first started using Word, I don't want to say what version I started using it, because then I'll be dating myself. But when I first started using Word, I had a ruler at the top of my Word document, and I had a ruler on the left-hand side of my Word document that I actually don't have anymore. And the simple reason is simply because of the fact that you have to actually now turn on the ruler from the View tab. It's not there by default anymore, and I actually use that quite a bit, especially when I'm working with documents with multiple columns. I'm going to go to my View tab, and I'm going to turn on my ruler here. Great. Now, in addition to having the ruler on, something that helps me tremendously with documents as they grow larger, and I just want to preview them, maybe I want to see how the page looks, or I want to find certain items on the page, is something known as the navigation pane. So if I turn on the navigation pane on the left-hand side of my document, you're going to go ahead and see this window pop up. That actually shows you the pages of the document, and if there actually will let you search the document if you need to find certain things within the document, or if you need to replace certain things as well. The navigation pane, they call it, along with the ruler, make a very great combination to add to your Word environment. That way, when it comes time to see the document on a page, you're not stuck constantly going to the File tab, and you're checking out the print preview. You can quickly see a quick glance thumbnail of the page directly from the navigation pane. Give that a try. Try going over to your View tab and customizing Word. I just want you to go ahead and add the ruler, and I also want you to add the navigation pane. Now, these two items will remain on until you turn them off for all documents on that application, on that computer that you're using at the current moment. All right. Hopefully you had a little fun doing that. Now, what I want to focus on is actually lesson 2, formatting text, formatting paragraphs, and a lot of that magic is going to actually happen from your Home tab, to where we have access to 2 particular command groups that we're going to be learning about today. The font command group, as well as the paragraph command group. Now, the font command group actually allows you to control the character style. You can change the font style for the characters, increase the font size, make it bold, italic, underline, strike through, do superscripts and subscripts, do word art a little outdated, highlighting, change the font color, change even the case style of the words, and of course clear the formatting button that we have. So a very important thing that I want you to know when highlighting and editing and applying character formatting is you have to have something selected. In Word, we have a saying here, it's called select to effect, meaning we have to have something selected before we go affect it. Now, I do want to point out that if you do a double click on a word, it will automatically highlight the entire word. But if you do a triple click, it will highlight the entire line that you're currently on. I hope that you can use this tip to your advantage when editing and formatting characters in Word like I'm about to here. I'm going to select this word save with 2 clicks. And if we do need to change the styling of this, we can use the font command group for that. Maybe I want to make it bold, or I want to italicize it, or even underline it. There's also a strike through button that I'm going to remove. Now, We also have these increase and decrease font size buttons that we actually added to the quick access toolbar earlier for our convenience. Now keep in mind that with this character formatting that you have, if you're not happy with the decisions you've made with the formatting, you have a clear all formatting button that will remove all the formatting on the highlighted text. Back to 11-point Calibri font. I'm going to go ahead and increase the font size a little bit there. We even got these little artsy effects that we can do. The word art styles that we sort of have to change the style of the word drastically. I don't use this too often, but I'm sure some of us might have some use cases for it when building these flyers, handouts, marketing materials, newsletters of any sort, or projects for school. So, I feel what's best for us to do to establish our font command group learning is for you to just spend some time adding some text to a Word document. A quick way that you can do that, adding in some plain old text, is using this function, the rand function, where you can add one paragraph with about three lines of text. And you can go ahead and edit and play around with the font command group there. Just spend a few minutes there before going on to the next video, and we'll be talking about the paragraph command group and how we can use that to edit and format a paragraph of text or add bullets to a list of some sort. I would like to spend some time talking about the paragraph command group and certain tools that you have available within the paragraph command group. Let me go ahead and highlight this chunk of text here, since I have a paragraph here that I have. And the first basic thing that I do commonly with paragraphs is change the alignment of them using these tools. I can have it aligned to the left, or I can center it, align it to the right, or have it justified. I can also control the line spacing between the lines of each line in the document. I can do more custom increments by going to line spacing options if I would need to, but I'm fine with just the traditional spacing that it has. Now keep in mind, I can indent this entire paragraph since I have it highlighted from the paragraph command group using the indent options here. I can also very much likely just put my cursor in the front of the paragraph and click tab to move the first line of the paragraph. Now, something that I do frequently with my ruler is I add these tab stops to the ruler. And now, when I click tab, it's going to automatically tab over to that stop point that I've added in the document. And I can do that multiple times within the document if I have to tab to certain areas in the document with my lines of text that I'm creating. So if I have to tab this one twice, you're going to notice that this tab stops at this one because I've hit tab twice. Where this one, I just hit it once. Now, a very nifty way to see these tab stops and these invisible items that are in your document is by turning on the Pilcrow inside of the paragraph command group. This actually shows you all the invisible things like the spaces, the enters, and the tab stops that you have created within the document. It takes a while to get used to as you're using this, but I occasionally turn it on and off as I'm editing my document. Now, of course, if you have to, I'm going to highlight this text and I'm going to center it. You can also add bordering around a paragraph. I have outside bordering, I have all bordering. I have various options that I can choose for the bordering options that I want for my paragraph that I'm choosing here. I can even also shade the paragraph. Maybe I want this chunk of text to stand out with the nice shading. I encourage you to pause this video and get a chunk of text and start playing around with your paragraph command group and see what editing you can do to the entire paragraph before moving forward. I separated bullets and numbered lists from paragraph editing because I want to just spend some time on it separately. Because bullets and numbered lists are something that I see commonly in Word documents. And if you have lines of text that you highlight, you can actually use the paragraph command group to add a bullets to each line of text, and then from there, even modify the bullet by choosing from the bullet library. Now do keep in mind that every time you indent a bullet with either the indent button or the tab key, it's going to change the bullet style. And from there, you can actually edit the bullet style for each level if you would like. So now, every time I go to that third indent, because I've changed it to a check mark, it's going to go ahead and be a check mark. But if I change my second indent to this really cool looking icon here, every time I go ahead and do a second indent, we're going to see that there. And a first indent here, I'll go ahead and change this one to a smiley face. Why not? Every time we get a first indent, there's my second indent. There's my third indent. I can even change my fourth one. I believe there's 9 different levels of forgot to change the wrong one. Let me change that one now. Cool. So, I mean, in under a minute there, you saw me add a bullet to the list to a chunk of text. And even from there, I started editing the bullets and I customized them a bit using the built-in bullet library. I mean, I can create my own bullets too under define new bullets, or I can choose the alignment of the bullet, choose a symbol, a picture, and a font style for the bullet if I'm not liking any of the built-in ones that I'm finding in my template. Now, this is actually a chunk of text that actually was bullets, but what about a numbered list? I can go ahead and highlight this here, and a numbered list is right next to it there. We can create a numbered list, and even from there, change the styles of the numbering. We have a number library. Same concept, just with numbers this time. Whole or letters, Roman numerals. Now keep in mind that with a numbered list, if you want this to restart back at the number 1, you can right-click that last one, number 4, and hit restart at 1. Now we're back at a new list. Restart. Back to 2. And if I want to keep going back to number 1, guess what? I can hit restart at 1, or I can go continue numbering. And I can change this back to 4 and 5 if I needed to. Quick little simple edits when creating a bulleted list or a numbered list from the paragraph command group. I highly encourage you to actually spend some time playing around with these bullets and numbered lists, and just poking around just so it can stick in your brain and have all this stuff memorized, because this is something that I see done heavily in Word documents. Okay, now we're on lesson 3, where we made some edits, learned about bulleted lists, learned about tab stops, but now we want to make editing more effective and more efficient. And in order to do that, I want to introduce this pretty lovely tool that I like to use. And it's known as the Format Painter inside the Home tab. Now, the Format Painter is actually a way where you can copy the format from a line of text or a word, and you can copy the formatting to other words. So I can get this underline and this red font and copy it to the Save As by turning on the Format Painter with the format that I want selected. And then I can go ahead and highlight the words or word that I want to apply that format to. Now, the Format Painter will actually turn itself off once you've done your formatting. However, I have learned that if you actually double-click it, it stays on. So that way you can go ahead and do multiple items all at once, kind of like your last end editing phase, to quickly update those quick things that you want to format with that styling that you chose. So the Format Painter is actually one of those tools that I encourage everyone to have on their quick access toolbar. If you take it from me, add it there. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Because although applying formatting is great, it takes time. And when I don't have time, in the Home tab, what I like to use is my Microsoft Word style sets. Why not? They're there, they're ready, and if I need to, I can adjust the styles with different themes that are available. So if I highlight this line of text here, I can actually create different style sets for this text, or use the built-in ones for right now. Here, I'll make this into a heading 1 style. And I'll do that for each one of my topics. I'll kind of make them into a heading 1. And here I'll also do it for this very first line, heading 1. And I just want to point out that every time you do this and you create these headings, they're actually showing up inside of your navigation pane. So that way you can navigate your document with the headings that you've created. And you can expand and collapse amongst the headings there. And I just find that to be pretty powerful when you're building these large documents that you're navigating around and kind of reading through and browsing through. When you're using style sets, things like this can happen. And it definitely saves time when formatting the document, because a lot of the things that you want to style are built in. You know, we have this normal styling with no space, kind of crunching up things if you were to make a handout. I can do this one here, highlight it, put no space in between the lines, kind of making it nice and more compact for me. Very drastic changes to my document, as you can see, with just a click of a button. Cool. Now I have everything on one page. So when it comes to formatting, yes, you can do your own formatting and then start copying all the formatting using the Format Painter, but you can also use these style sets that are built in for formatting. And then if you'd like, if you use style sets, you can actually drastically change the look and the feel of the document from the Design tab by adjusting the theme of the document with the built-in themes that you have in Microsoft Word. This changes all the style sets that are available in the template. drastic changes to this document by changing the theme of the style sets that I have. But I'm going to leave the traditional office theme there. Definitely play around with this one. Try using your format painter from the Home tab. Make sure to add it to your quick access toolbar and play around with style sets and see if they're popping up inside your headings area in the navigation pane that we turned on from the View tab. And then come back so that we can start talking about sorting and formatting lists. In Lesson 4, Managing Lists, I just want to go ahead and show everybody that if you do have a list of names, products, items, a list of anything in Word, you can actually alphabetize them or sort them. You can do that by simply selecting the list and going to the Paragraph command group from the Home tab of Word. And there's actually this sorting button, the A to Z sort button. If I click on it, it actually allows me to sort the paragraphs based off the text in ascending order. I can also sort it by additional columns if I had a list of information by different columns, but I can only do up to 2. I'm going to go ahead and specify that my list does not have headers so that I can sort the very top item. And when I hit OK, you're going to see that it's alphabetized my list for me here. Now remember, this item is inside of your Home tab, inside the Paragraph command group, and you can also add it to your quick access toolbar for easy convenience. In this lesson, Lesson 5, I want to spend some time actually talking about inserting tables, modifying tables, formatting them, and also converting text into tables. So, if you do need to insert a table into your Word documents, the Insert tab of Microsoft Word will actually give you that functionality. From there, you can actually draw how many tables or how many rows and columns you would like for your table. And if you're not sure about how many rows and columns you actually end up needing, feel free to just do a rough estimate because it's rather easy to add rows and to add columns in this new version of Word once the documents table is already created. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in some fake headers to build my table. I'm just going to track some salespeople and the regions that they're in and the revenue that they've made. Cool. Now I'm just going to highlight this very top row here, and I'm just going to go over to my Home tab and I'm just going to center it. There we go. Now I can resize the entire table, right? I can resize it if I need to make it smaller or bigger by going to the corner there and dragging the resize handle. And then I can also move my entire table around, the object, Control Z, by moving this little directional pad there to move it around for myself. Let me make this a little bigger again. Now keep in mind that when you select this, you don't have to use your own formatting. If you want, you can go to the Table Design tab that shows up when you have a table selected. Remember, you have to have it selected. And then you can actually choose from the table styles that are available for your table. Every time I need a new row and I finish my columns, I can just click the Tab key to build another new row for me. So now that I have this table that I've created, I do want to point out that if I need to insert additional columns in between the table, I can simply hover in between each column and this plus sign will now appear. Or if I need to add in a new row, I can hover to the left-hand side of the table and a new plus sign will appear between the rows that I would like to add a new row to. So if I want to add a new row at the very top here, I can. And I'm just going to fix the justification of that there. So even if you already have text, inside of a document, I'm just creating the actual text of the document here. You can actually highlight the text if it's already there. And from the Insert tab, you can also choose to convert the text to a table. And you can choose how to split up the text based off tabs, commas, spaces that are in between the text. So I'm going to go ahead and separate the text based off the tabs that I have. And when I hit OK, it's going to split off that text there based off those tabs. And if I needed to add that new header row, I can do that at the very top here. I'm just going to go over to my layout there and hit Insert above. And of course, I can choose my table design tab and pick one of these table styles that I have to go ahead and pick the formatting of the table. So inserting tables and modifying them and also formatting them with color or converting text to tables is actually something rather simple in Word if you just know the right area to go and the right buttons to click. I highly encourage you to pause the video before moving on to lesson 6 and spend some time actually adding tables to a document. Formatting them or converting text to tables. Whatever one you're going to do more commonly than the other. But definitely practice that a little bit before moving on to the next video there. In lesson 6 here, I want to spend some time talking about inserting graphic objects like symbols, characters, and even images. Now, when you go over to your Insert tab in Microsoft Word, there's actually an entire command group called symbols. Symbols, symbols, symbols. And from there, you can actually add math equations or add in these special symbols that they have. There are a ton of different symbols that you can find under More Symbols. Now keep in mind, in this Symbols window, there's also a tab called Special Characters that you have access to. You can actually choose to assign a shortcut key to certain special characters that you use more than others. So if you do need to insert these symbols here, you can browse this list and even choose from different subsets that we have. And once you find that symbol or that special character that you want, you can choose to insert and it adds it to the document, leaving the window open as well. Now, the nifty thing about this is that it ends up adding these new symbols that you've used to this window now as your recently used symbols for convenient access if you need to add that symbol again at another spot in your document. In addition to adding symbols, I also want to mention that you can insert pictures. You can actually insert pictures from your computer or even use stock images. The stock images that they have are actually icons that you can use, cut out people for presentations that you're creating, stickers that you can add in, and even illustrations. You can also, even now with Word, view online pictures directly from here. And it uses Bing to search online for images that you can add over to your document. Now keep in mind that when you do add an image to a Word document, there's this little option that pops up when the image is selected called Layout Options. It's only there when you have the image selected. This actually controls how the image will interact with the text surrounding it. So if I end up changing this layout option to a square layout option, it's going to show me that my image is actually nice and square to wherever I move the text, or wherever I move the image according to the text. No matter where I move it, it's always going to be square to the text. Nice and square to the text. Here I am inserting the image to the table. There's also options that you can change it. Maybe change it to tight. Now it's nice and tight to the text. Not square, but nice and tight and close to it. Or you can make it top-bottom to where no matter where you move the image, it's always going to be above or below a chunk of text. Cool, let me go ahead and change this back to the square option here and move it down just a little bit smaller so it can fit all on this page here. There we go. Look at that little pup. Now, what I really like about pictures in Word is that the fact that you get a picture format tab that's available. And when you click on the picture format tab, it actually gives you these options in the adjust command group to go ahead and modify this image and edit the image. Like if you want to change the color of the image, there's color saturation, color tone, and recolored sets that you can choose from that drastically change the color of the image. You also have artistic effects. Changes the entire look of the image, makes it a little bit more painted here. Or if you need to make it a little bit transparent, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and reset this picture here. And I just cleared all of my formattings that I did in the adjust. You also have these picture styles that you can choose from that drastically change. Let me zoom out so you can see it. It goes down to the second page. The look and the bordering of the image. These are all different. These ones actually let me add text. The picture layout, I can add text to it. Let me go ahead and reset the graphic again. Now my favorite of these tools is the remove background tool. Because if you find an image that you like and you want to just get the pup out of it, you can actually use remove backgrounds to do that. And if you need to make some changes because you're noticing that the tail is a little cut off, right? You can go ahead and mark the areas to keep by drawing on it a little bit there and you're kind of just drawing them. Of course, you take a little bit more time than I am here to get everything. And once you're happy with it, I'm just going to accept it for what it is right now. You can actually accept the changes and essentially remove the background from the image. Now we got a pup just floating around. Inserting graphics, inserting images, something you're probably going to do heavily within Word. Don't forget to adjust the layout options like I did when you're moving it around. But just also don't forget there's a wide variety of tools that you can use in the Picture Format tab to edit and format and modify these images. In Lesson 7, I want to spend some time talking about controlling page appearance, like applying page borders, adding page color, and also adding headers and footers and adding watermarks and all that good stuff. Let's start out with the headers and footers of the document, because it's simply a matter of double-clicking the very top or the bottom of the document to insert and go into the header and footer mode. Now keep in mind, with the header and footer mode open, you'll now have a brand new tab called Header and Footer. If you do hit Close Header and Footer tab, you will no longer have it. I'm going to go ahead and click back into the Header and Footer tab. And from here, we can actually insert a nice built-in custom header that we have. We can browse through the list of headers that are available for our document templates. We can also make our own, but these are the built-in ones. And we can even, if we're Office 365 user, browse for some more available ones that we have. You can also browse your footers here, see your footer styles that you want, and even see if you want to just add a page number if you would like at a certain direction in the header or the footer of the document. You can also insert things like the date and time. You can have it update automatically as well as the time goes along. Or you can have document info, like maybe the author, file name, the location of the file directly inside of the header or the footer of the file. It adds that field, essentially, the document info field. That's the file path for the document. Pretty nifty things. If you're working with others, you'll know what to do with this. If you're working in an organization and you have to share the file path to the file, or you want people to see the name of the title really quickly, the document title if it's titled. Or you just want to see who created it, the author. All this information is going to be listed at the header if you decide to add it. I'm just going to go ahead and add in one of my standard headers here, just the blank header, and I'm going to type in Word. Let me go into there, and I'm going to type in Word Day 1. Introduction. And when I hit Close Header and Footer, I want to point out that this header is actually going to show up on every single page. You can have the header be different for the first page by doing different first page as one of the options there. Now keep in mind that if your header is too small or too big for the text that you're trying to fit in there, you can make the header go up and down from the top of the document. But just be cautious when it comes time to print. You don't want to put it so high up that your printer can't reach that part of the document, or so far to the left and right that it can't print out that header or it gets cut off in some sort. So remember, a lot of users, they go to the Insert tab and they choose header and they choose footer. But if you want to go into the header and footer mode, you just double click the very top of the document and the header and footer tab appears with a wide variety of options for you to navigate, insert, and also adjust and use these built-in headers and footers that we have available. Pretty nifty. Besides being able to add headers and footers to your document by double-clicking the top of the document, you can also design your document a bit with the Design tab. There is an entire command group known as Page Background that you can use. Now from here, you can actually add page borders and choose a bordering style for the document. Now keep in mind, there's a lot of customizations that you can choose for the styles that you want to choose. Maybe you want a custom border that you want to decide. And you can choose whether or not you want to apply it to the document, a section, or just the first page of the document. Also, we also have page color. If this is going to stay on a virtual environment, you might want to change the page color. We can change it to all these different colors that we have, or browse the more colors for the page if we'd like as well. And if you need to add a watermark, maybe letting people know this is confidential or to not make a copy of this, you can do that directly from the Design tabs, Page, Background, Command Group. Pretty nifty tools, adding a watermark, a page color, a border, or even a header and a footer. But all these tools ultimately allow you to control the page's appearance, whether it's going to be displayed on a virtual environment or you're going to be printing it. Go ahead and play around with your Design tab. Play around with the watermarks, page colors, page borders, just so it can stay in your head. And you will eventually use these tools one day when finalizing or creating a Word document. In Lesson 8, preparing to publish a document, I want to spend some time talking about the Review tab, how you can check spelling, grammar, readability, use research tools, and even check accessibility. And then from there, I want to discuss how you can save this Word document to other formats and even transform it using Microsoft's way. So when it comes time to finalizing a Word document, the Review tab is your friend. Because from there, you have a nice editor to go ahead and check for spelling, grammar, and even writing suggestions. I have one spelling suggestion that I need to fix here. It's telling me, and 3 grammar suggestions. Let's take a look at the spelling. Oh, it's just having a little typo there because the F and N. Let me go ahead and fix that. That just stands for function. I'm going to write that out. I'm going to hit ignore once. It just means function. I already know that. That's not a typo. Let's see the grammar here. The view tab. Oh, I had an extra space. Let's fix that. I missed a period at the end. Let's fix that. I missed a period at the end. Okay. Alrighty. Sounds good. I just used the editor there. I'm going to close out the editor now that I've checked my spelling, grammar, and my refinements there. I'm going to close that out, the new editor for spell checking. I even can do a word count directly from the Review tab. See how many pages, words, and characters without spaces and with spaces I have. Or use a thesaurus to go ahead and search for certain words and change certain words if I need to, with words that I have highlighted. So, with this being said, we also have this ability to check accessibility of the document. This makes sure that the file is accessible in case you have any images or objects that need alternative text for people that need to have the image read to them. This is something that you can go ahead and use to check to make sure that your document is fully accessible for everyone and it's inclusive. I like that they have these types of features. Now keep in mind that if this file is on OneDrive and you want to actually review this with someone else, you can add a comment in the document. And if you mention someone from your organization with an @ symbol, this will automatically actually share the document with that user and give you a notification to share and notify them. And then if you're using OneDrive or SharePoint, they can edit and co-author the document with you live simultaneously. I'm not going to share it with Joseph, though, for right now. Just a cool feature. I'm going to delete this comment. Something new for our Office 365 users that are actually using OneDrive. You have to be using OneDrive, don't forget. Now, documents are great, But if you need to send this over to someone that doesn't have Word, right? The File tab actually lets you export the document. You can actually create a PDF document. That way the layouts and the formatting is preserved, and most people can view this with even a web browser, because PDF stands for Portable Document Format. So if you ever are working with clients, vendors, or you have a project and you need to upload something as a PDF, you can export the Word document as a PDF and publish it. And then Adobe Acrobat or whatever browser you have as your default will actually launch the Word document as a PDF. A big thing that people struggle with, I've noticed, is actually exporting and changing things to PDF. So keep in mind, it's from the File tab. But that is a little bit outdated now, because we can also use the Transform button. This is my favorite to talk about, the Transform button, which actually creates web pages using Microsoft Sway. Keep in mind, you must be an Office 365 user for this to work. And from there, you can actually select these different style types that we have for the Sway web page that you want to create. And with the click of a button, I'm going to hit Transform. And in a browser, it's going to open up this web page that it's creating for you. Let's go ahead and take a peek at this. Now this web page uses all the headers and all the images in your document to go ahead and make a powerful displaying web page out of the text from the document that you have. Now keep in mind that this web page has a navigation area that you can use based off the headings that you've created. You also have the ability to edit the web page using Microsoft Sway, but we don't want to get into that in this session here. And we can also share this web page using a link that only people in the organization can access, or anyone can access, or just a list of specific people that you want to have access to this web page for security reasons. You can also allow viewers to share this out with other viewers by leaving the share button available, or you can turn it off, meaning you don't have the privilege to share it, only I do. This is a very powerful way to get these documents, these flyers, these handouts, these materials that you're creating for your organization to stand out and to be shared across large communities, large areas, departments in your workforces. Now remember, this is all done through the File tab, whether you're exporting it as a PDF or you're using Transform to create a Sway web page. Very powerful tools here that we're showing. Now, if you don't see the Transform button, that is a very good indicator that you are not an Office 365 user and that you won't have access to Sway, which is an online application. I would like you to congratulate yourself. You have now completed Word Introduction. You've gone through all 8 lessons. Hopefully you did do the little practices and pause the video to get that little hands-on pieces in. But just a quick little reminder, in this introduction course, we started out with learning the Word environment and then modifying text and learning how to do that more efficiently. Once we got a hang of text, we started modifying things in lists and tables, and then started learning about graphic objects and controlling the overall document appearance with headers and footers. And then we published the document to other document formats or even web pages. A lot of good stuff in this session. There's still a Word Intermediate course with Module 3 Enforce that we're going to dive into, doing table calculations and doing more formatting options and creating your own custom style sets and using the Styles pane to apply them. More advanced features. Hope to see you there. Hopefully this course was useful for you. What I would like to know in the comments is I would like to know what would be your favorite feature, or maybe we'll leave it to 3. What are your 3 favorite features that you learned about in this Word Introduction course from Module 1 and 2? And let me know why you chose those. Everybody, I just want to say my final thank you. This is Faz Kareem here with Learnit, and it's been a pleasure to share my knowledge in word introduction with you. And I hope this material is definitely in line with what you're looking for and you've learned a ton. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever time zone you're at. Until next time, happy learning.